Dr. Kermit Gosnell is accused of performing hundreds of illegal late-term abortions. Prosecutors say the 69-year-old doctor severed the spinal cords of viable, healthy babies with scissors once they were taken from their mothers. Gosnell is also accused in the death of a woman who died from an overdose of anesthesia. He is accused of unethical behavior in almost every part of his practice. The charges stem from a year-long investigation into practices at Dr. Gosnell's clinic. Described as a house of horrors, it has operated for 30 years. 9 of Dr. Gosnell's associates and staffers are also facing murder charges. So I want to get into all of this with a man who has made a little time for us today, and we appreciate it. Philadelphia District Attorney Seth Williams announcing these charges today. Pages and pages and pages of charges. We're going to get to that in just a moment here, but Seth, I appreciate you joining me. I want to just begin with the obvious. How was your office first tipped off about this man?
It's a very good question, Brooke. This started initially as an investigation into a pill mill. This doctor was the #1 supplier for illegal prescriptions for Oxycontins and other painkillers. So in February of 2010, detectives from my office executed a search warrant just to find this pill mill and to stop it. And it wasn't until then did they discover the disgusting, squalid, horrific abortion clinic that he was running for late-term abortions.
Let's talk about your word, squalid clinic. I want you to paint the picture of what these investigators, once they went into this clinic, paint the picture of what investigators found.
Right, and again, you know, people can debate the morality of abortion. This isn't about that. This is about women being allowed to die. This is about the murder of children that had been born alive. So this doctor performed late-term abortions for people who could not get abortions this late from anyone else. They would go there, they would pay a sliding scale based on how large the baby was, what the gestation period was, and how much anesthesia they wanted. This doctor was the only person there with any medical training, but he was not a board-certified obstetrician or gynecologist. He had a high school student serving as an anesthesiologist, if you can believe that, making a cocktail of Demerol.
Wow.
But when this search warrant was executed, there were jars and jars and jars of severed feet that this doctor kept. He kept pictures of the women's genitalia. There was fetuses and body parts and bags all over this building, and even in the same refrigerator that the staff had their lunch in. What was most disturbing, of course, and what the jury found most problematic, was that this doctor would induce labor. So this wasn't the normal abortion that people think of for people in their first trimester. This was a doctor giving medicines that would induce the labor. The women would have the babies. The babies would squirm, would cry like any baby born. Then this doctor would perform a procedure he called snipping that has no medical basis, where he would take scissors and put them in the back of the skull.
Let me stop you because I don't want to continue. We don't know this for a fact. I know this is just based upon what investigators are finding inside this office, and I hate to even have to say this,
no,
but just to be fair, we are trying to reach out to the doctor. We have yet to hear from the doctor, but if I can just ask you, I think you made this point, Seth, and I want to just reiterate it.
But Brooke, this is the testimony that was given to the grand jury. This is the grand jury's report.
Wow, this is the
Correct.
testimony, and you said he has not been convicted. Just to be clear, he's not been convicted. This is just the testimony. This is what people are saying. But you said he is he an actual MD, sir?
He is a graduate of medical school in Philadelphia. That's correct. But he was not a board-certified obstetrician or gynecologist. But the medical examiner actually had the bodies where he had severed the spinal cords of live children. So this isn't just speculation, and we have the physical evidence.
I understand. And I also understand here I have 1 page of charges. This is just the list here for Dr. Gosnell. And then we have listed 1 page, 2 page, 3 pages, single space here for these 8 other women who are also facing a litany of charges. Who are these women, Seth?
Well, there was a total of 10 defendants, 1 being Dr. Gosnell, and 9 co-defendants. 1 is a man. They were all employees of Dr. Gosnell. People that were like a receptionist, but he had the receptionist would double as a person who gave IV, intravenous drugs for the pain killing. So these were all people that were part of what we believe was a corrupt organization for this criminal conspiracy of running an illegal abortion clinic. And it was just horrific. The barbaric procedures that these women had to endure.
Let me jump in because we know this clinic, it was called the Women's Medical Society, opened back in 1979. How was this doctor able to fly under the radar for all these many decades without anyone noticing or taking action?
And that is equally disturbing, and the grand jury reported on such, that this doctor's office had not been inspected by the State Department of Health since 1993. So they found that unbelievable, that we have more regulation for women's hair salons than abortion clinics.